In the last few sessions, we've been working our way through the fundamentals of vector, working with vector shapes, outlines, fills, the Bezier tool. And in this session, I want to take a look at some very important functionality that we'll find in the Multiple Objects Properties bar. And we're going to start with simple shapes here. I'm going to see how we can apply the functionality that we have in this toolbar to our graphic design work with vector in CorelDRAW. I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm just going to create a couple of simple shapes. I'm going to create a rectangle and fill that with a green. I'm going to create a perfect circle just about the same size. We'll fill that with yellow, holding down Shift and Control there. I'm going to bring this over here, and then we're going to create a triangle, and I'll use the polygon tool for that with 3 points, and I'll hold down Shift and Control to make that a perfect triangle, and we'll fill that with, let's say, a blue. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go ahead and pile these on top of each other. I'll get my pick tool here, and I'll just come here and put this rectangle, and I'll put that rectangle over here on top of my circle over here, and I'll bring this triangle down here into the bottom like that. And I've got multiple objects here. Now if I lasso all of these objects, you'll notice that the properties bar changes, and I'm going to bring this out so we can see this. This is the property bar multiple objects. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here, and you can see my properties bar changed to the property bar zoom tool, but we've got some good tools available for working with in this properties bar when we have multiple objects selected. If I click off, you won't have that functionality available, but if you select the objects, lasso and select them, it becomes available. Let's take a look at the first tool here over to the right. Actually, it's the second tool coming in, and that's Create Boundary. Go ahead and click that, and you'll see what that did is it created a boundary around all of my objects. Now this is very handy. Sometimes I'm working on a design and I want to put an outline around several objects, but I don't want to put an outline around everything. And with this tool, after I've created a boundary, I could simply go to Object Properties, and I could come down here and I could give that boundary an outline. I could right click on that and go Order to Back of Page, and now I've got an outline around all of my objects that I created by creating a boundary. I'm going to go ahead and hit Delete and delete that. I'm going to go ahead and select the triangle, hold down Shift and select the circle. We'll get back to the Multiple Objects Properties bar. Next thing is back minus front. I'll click on that, and you'll see that what happened is that my triangle was cut out of my circle. Hit Control Z. Next to that is front minus back. Going the other way, the circle is cut out of the triangle. You'll notice that if we select all three of these objects, go ahead and put all of these over the green here. Select all three of these objects. Now I've got multiple objects. If I click on back minus front, both of those objects will be cut out of the vector rectangle. Control Z, and if we do the same here and we click again and go to the front minus back, everything will be cut out except for the blue. As you can see there, the circle and the rectangle were cut out. The next tool we have is the Simplify tool. Go ahead and click on that, and then we'll see what happened. Our circle was cut out and our square was cut out. So all these objects are butting up against each other, but there's nothing behind them anymore. It's a simplified graphic. I'm going to hit Control Z and we'll go back. Lasso everything here, and the next tool is our Trim tool. Now if I click that, you'll see that the last object, or the object that's on the bottom or the back of the selection of objects, was trimmed by the objects on top. Hit Control Z and we'll take a look at that again. Here's the rectangle. We select everything, come over here and click on Trim, and the last object is trimmed, but the other two are not. Hit Control Z and we'll go back again. Next we have our Weld tool, and if we click Weld, it combines all of our objects into one object and takes the fill color from the object that's on the bottom. If I have this as a red, the last object, or the bottom object, will be the fill color that is inherited by the new object. Click on Weld, and as you can see, that's now a red. I'll hit Control Z and we'll go back. We also have here combine. And when I combine, we'll see what happens. It's like weld, but the areas of the graphic that are overlapping are knocked out. Now, I use all these tools very frequently when I'm doing graphic design work, so you want to take some time to experiment with them and get used to them because you'll be able to use them a lot. Left click and bring this properties bar back up here into its proper position. I'll go ahead and lasso all of this and delete it. Now let's take a look at using this tool in a very simple live project. I'm going to take this logo shape, I'm going to give it some transparency. I'll come down here to the interactive tools, come down to transparency, select uniform, 50% is okay. I'm going to right click on this and select lock object. Now I can see that what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to trace this with shapes. And actually what I'm going to want to do is rotate this. I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to click again. I'm going to come up here, left click, hold down, and rotate this. And I may even hold down Control to constrain that, and I think that's going to be just fine right there. Now I'll right click and lock my object. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a simple rectangle. So I'll go to the rectangle tool, start up here in the upper left hand corner, left click, drag down to the lower right hand corner, and release. I can see that those corners are rounded. I'll zoom in, go to my shape tool, and just round that corner just a bit so it matches with the roundness on the shape and the logo. The next thing I'm going to do is create a circle, perfect circle, hold down Shift and Control, just about the size of the circle inside of that logo shape I'm tracing or recreating. Now looking at this, what I want to do is I want to reshape this. And I can see these handles, can't see these handles very good against the black there, but I know they exist in the corners. And that'll be fine right there. I'll nudge this over just a hair. Use my arrow key there, and you can arrow key to move your graphics as you see there. Next thing I'll do is create a rectangle to go right in here. Very simple graphic, but we'll do this as a demonstration of the multi-objects property. I'm going to hold down Shift, select both of these, hit E to center them. Now I can see I've got some curve coming out here, but it looks like it's kind of straight. So for that, what I'll do is I'll create yet another rectangle, perfect rectangle. But before that, I do that, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate these because I'm going to weld in a minute. And I want to have this shape available when I recreate this part of the logo. And I'll just go ahead and take this, I'm going to rotate, holding down Control to constrain. Get that point right into there, as you can see there, and then I'll just go ahead and lasso everything and hit my E key, which is going to align horizontally. Now I'm going to come up to my multiple objects properties bar and select weld. Then I'm going to take this object, left click, hold down Control, right click one time, see the plus sign, we're going to duplicate. Bring this over here, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to mirror horizontally, just like that. So I've got those two set up. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this down here, and I'm going to click and I'm going to start rotating. Can't see that because of the color of the gray. Hold down Control to constrain, bring that right into there, and then that's all set down there. Now I can key that up with the arrow key and bring it into a little bit better a position. Now I've got those three objects recreated using shapes. I'm going to left click, hold down, I'm going to come up here and click on back minus front because I know all of those objects are in the front, and there is the basic shape of the logo set up as vector, and I can fill that with a black. Next thing I'll do is take my ellipse and set this right in the center here. Now I'm going to show you a trick about shaping and resizing here. I'm going to want to bring this right into the center. I'm going to hold down my Shift key to change my size coming off from the center, and resizing with my Shift key. I'm going to bring this vector object, which is this rectangle, over here and put it right in here for the neck. And I'm going to hit C to center that. Then I'm going to go ahead and hold down my Shift key and select all of these, come up and click on Weld. Now this is a very simple vector logo recreation, but there's a lot of pixels in this, and if I want to make it big and print it out, it's not going to work. Now I've traced it and recreated it as vector, working with my shapes and the multiple objects properties bar, and I can make this as big as I want and output it at just about any resolution. So we'll go ahead and wrap here, and that'll be our session on the multiple objects properties bar. And we can remember that we want to be able to work with this properties bar and all of the tools that are available. And I'll hold down shift and bring it back, which is your boundary, create a boundary, back minus front, front minus back, simplify, intersect, trim, weld, and combine. Go ahead and wrap here, and we'll see you in our next session.